I've coached hundreds of new and existing web design agency owners over the last 8 years, and one thing has become incredibly obvious. Selling web design has become much harder. Not because websites don't matter, but because almost everyone is selling the exact same thing. I build modern websites. I create beautiful websites that convert. The problem is that none of these are what your customer is actually trying to buy. Business owners don't wake up in the morning thinking that they need a new website. Wake up thinking that they need more leads, more appointments, more revenue. The website is just one possible solution to that problem. This is why so many talented web designers struggle to charge premium prices, while these big agencies with objectively worse design work make all the money. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make a results-based web design offer that helps you stand out in a crowded market, sign more clients, and charge higher prices. Okay, so the first big reframe I need you to make is that clients do not buy services. No one is buying Google ads from you because they love ads. No one's buying a website from you because they love their About Us page. People buy what they believe those things will produce for them. So let's think about it like this. Imagine you hire a landscaping company. You're not paying them thousands of dollars because you love grass. You're paying them because you want the nicest looking property. You know, you want to increase the value of your house. You think your yard looks like shit. And maybe you just don't want to mow the lawn all the time. I don't know. The landscaping is the vehicle that gets you there. The same thing happens in business. So there's actually tons, probably thousands of founders and CEOs who hate the idea they even have to have a website in the first place. What they want is more qualified leads, more customers, higher average order values, or just a business that looks more credible and more trustworthy. The website is a component that accomplishes those things. And that's where web design agencies always commoditize themselves. So they spend all their marketing talking about the thing that they do instead of what the thing accomplishes. So we build websites, we redesign brands, we build on WordPress. None of that is valuable. The value comes from what those things allow the client to achieve. And that is the foundation of a good results-based offer. So now the question you're asking is, okay, so if no one buys services, what are they buying? Now, the framework that's helped me think about this is that every service can be sold at one of 4 different levels. And as you move up the levels, the service becomes more valuable, it's harder to compare, and it's generally easier to sell. Now, level 1 is the task. So this is just the work that you do. So you build websites, you run ads, manage SEO, you edit videos. This is where most freelancers and newer agencies are at. The problem is that a task is really easy to compare. So if I'm buying, just a website, there's millions of people who can sell me a website. Some people might charge $50, some might charge $500, some might charge $5,000, some might charge $50,000. And to me, potentially the client, if they're all claiming to sell a website, and if I'm given no other information, I'm just going to pick the cheapest option. Level 2 is the deliverable. So this is what the client actually receives from you. So instead of selling web design, you're now selling a 5-page website, a conversion-focused landing page, a complete website redesign. Now this is a little better, at least the client now knows what they're getting, but it's still centered around the thing that you sell. Now, level 3 is the outcomes. Now, instead of selling a website, you're selling what the website is intended to do for the client. So more appointments, more leads, higher conversion rates, lower bounce rates, more quote requests, higher rankings on Google. Now, the person is not evaluating whether you need another page. They're evaluating whether solving the problems that I just listed is worth investing with you. Now, level 4 is the business results. This is the highest level you can sell at. Revenue, profit, business valuation, hiring, location expansion. These are, of course, the things that every business owner really, really cares about. The distinction is that just because these are the things that your client ultimately wants, it doesn't automatically mean that they're the things that you need to promise inside of the offer. So for example, let's say you build someone a really good website, you double their conversion rate, but they don't have any traffic, or their sales team sucks at answering the phone, or they just don't follow up with any of the leads. They will never make any money. So that doesn't mean that you suck as a web designer. It just means that the revenue depends on a lot of variables that you don't have control over. So when you hear me say, sell results, not services, you can't immediately jump to guaranteeing revenue or appointments or ROI. You need to identify the results that you can meaningfully influence. We're going to talk about that next. So if you shouldn't promise every result, how do you actually build a results-based offer? The answer is that you increase the number of variables that you can influence. So imagine you build somebody a great website, design's great, copy's great, page loads fast. Everything is technically good, but no one visits it. So how many customers do they get? 0. Now imagine the flip side of that. They get thousands or hundreds of thousands of visitors, SEO, paid ads, but the website itself looks like shit, the UX is bad, whatever. Again, they don't get what they wanted, they don't make any money, they don't get any new customers. And that's because the website does not exist by itself. It is part of the client's larger marketing ecosystem. And all these web design agencies unintentionally limit themselves because they only sell one part of the system, which is the website. The more pieces that you own, the more influence you have over the final outcome. So For example, if you only make the site, you can influence, user experience, trust, and some other stuff. If you also do conversion optimization, you have control over how effectively the visitor becomes a lead. If you also do SEO, you're influencing the quantity and quality of the traffic. If you add paid ads, now you're influencing where the traffic comes from and who sees it. If you add analytics, now you can actually prove what's working to the client and continuously improve it. So as your sphere of influence gets larger over the marketing services, you can sell larger outcomes and make bigger promises. So if I'm only redesigning your homepage, I probably shouldn't guarantee that I'll generate you an extra 100K this year. There's way too many things outside of my control for me to do that. But if I'm responsible for your traffic, your landing pages, your copy, and your lead follow-up systems, I have way more confidence that I can make you a ton of money. That's what a results-based offer is. Now we can talk about where those services actually fit in. In order for you to understand that, you can't think of the website as one thing, but as a system. So almost every business's website has 3 jobs. First, you have to attract visitors. So that traffic might be coming from organic searches, paid ads, social media, whatever. Secondly, you have to convert that traffic into taking some action. So you're optimizing the messaging, the copywriting, the layout, offer, forms, calls to action to see if visitors leave for competitors or they buy or become a lead, really simple. And then lastly, you have to maximize the value of the people who do convert. So not everyone buys immediately, of course. Some people need all these different touch points. Some need follow-up, some might need abandoned quote requests, some might need, to be contacted after they ghost a sales call. Other people might become customers, but they have a high propensity to purchase an additional service, several months in the future. So what is a tie-in? Every service that you add to your web design offer strengthens one of those 3 stages. So SEO helps more people find the site, web design helps convert the traffic, and email marketing increases the value of all of the leads. So you're selling improvements to a complete customer acquisition system. That is how you need to think about building an offer. So instead of what service should I sell, think of what part of the customer acquisition system am I improving? Okay, now we can talk about the anatomy of a results-based offer. So now you've got an outcome that you want to help a certain client achieve, so we can build the language of the offer. So first things first is who is it for? So not everyone, be specific, landscapers, med spas, roofing companies, law firms. Then what problem are you solving? So not they need a website, what is the expensive problem? So not enough qualified leads, too few appointments, low conversion rates, outdated brands, costing them trust with the local market. Then what is the result? So what measurable improvement are you helping them create? Is it more qualified organic traffic, more booked consultations, higher conversion rates, more quote requests? This is where you tie together all of the things we've been talking about already. And then how do you get them there? So what is your mechanism? So what is your framework, your process, your system? It just needs to communicate that there is some repeatable process behind the outcome instead of random marketing stuff. And then how do you reduce risk? So this is where the guarantee comes in. So the guarantee should naturally emerge from the things we've already talked about. So if you're only building a website, maybe the guarantee is about delivery time or availability for updates and support. If you're managing SEO and you can confidently increase organic visibility, maybe you guarantee specific ranking improvements or placements. If you're responsible for enough of the acquisition system though, that you can generate, reliable leads, now you might be more comfortable guaranteeing a minimum number of appointments or qualified leads. So again, sum it all up, the stronger your control over the whole process, the stronger the guarantee that you can responsibly make. Let's go over an example now. So imagine we're targeting landscaping companies and we want to sell the result of SEO and web design. So the framework that I use is thing you do, who you do it for, what result they get, time frame, guarantee. So let's fill that out. So the thing we do SEO web development. We do it for landscaping companies, let's say in New Hampshire. And then what result are we actually trying to create? We could say we help landscaping companies double their revenue, but we probably wouldn't be able to promise that realistically. There's too many things that we're not deciding to control. So instead, we're gonna pick a result that's much closer to the work that we're doing. So for example, generate 30 residential jobs from Google and AI search. Then next is a time frame. So maybe it's 2 months, maybe it's 6 months. This is more so based on your skill level and team size. And then finally, we decide on a guarantee. So this needs to match what we can control. So instead of guaranteeing revenue, maybe we guarantee that if we don't increase the qualified organic traffic within 2 months, we'll continue working for free until we do. The exact guarantee, even related to what we just talked about, is not really that important. The guarantee acts as a function to build confidence up front and very rarely results in a refund request that's directly related to the thing that you guaranteed, unless you fail so horribly for the client. So now we put that all together. We help landscaping companies in New Hampshire generate 30+ booked jobs through SEO and conversion-focused websites within 2 months, or will continue working for free until we do. Way different than the typical we build WordPress sites and offer SEO services. Here's a checklist that you should run your offer through. So are you selling a result or describing a service? Is your target market specific? Is the result something you can actually influence? Does your offer control enough of the customer acquisition system? Is your guarantee aligned with the things that you actually control? And if another agency copied your exact pricing, would there still be a reason to choose you? The answer to any of that is no. Your offer probably isn't differentiated enough. The goal is to become the agency that's known for solving a specific business problem better than anybody else.